Hey there, Heaven's Echoes family. So glad to have you here. Have you ever stopped to ponder your own essence? What makes you unique, valuable, and in a way, extraordinary? In a world that often tells us who we are based on our appearance, success, or status, the Bible reveals a much deeper, liberating truth. We were created in the image and likeness of God. In this video, we're going to dive deep into this fundamental concept of our faith, unveiling its meaning, its implications, and how it redefines us. Understanding this has the power to transform our self-esteem, our purpose, and the way we see everyone around us. Let's start at the dawn of creation, in the book of Genesis. There, in Genesis 1:26-27, we read God's monumental declaration, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Notice the divine deliberation in "let us make." It wasn't a casual act, but a moment of deep planning and special intention, distinct from all other creation. Imagine God, in an act of sublime love, molding the clay of the earth with his own hands, feeling the damp, cool texture, infusing it with the warmth of life with his very breath. While plants and animals were made according to their kinds, humanity was uniquely shaped in God's image, bestowing upon us an intrinsic and incomparable worth. This likeness doesn't refer to a physical form, for God is spirit, nor to a perfect moral state that would later be lost. Instead, it means we were endowed with capacities that reflect God's nature. We have the capacity for relationship, because God is relational within his own Trinity, and we were made for communion with him and with one another. We possess rationality and moral consciousness, able to think, reason, create, discern right from wrong, and make choices. We received dominion and stewardship over creation, the responsibility to govern and care for this world as God's representatives. Genesis 1:28. And finally, we are beings of creativity and expression, capable of innovating, dreaming, and manifesting beauty, reflecting the Creator himself. Think of an artist's joy as their canvas comes to life, or a musician's satisfaction when hearing the melody that once existed only in their mind. This is a spark of the divine essence within us. This inherent capacity for relationship, stemming directly from the relational nature of God, is profound. It's not just about interacting with others. It's about the deep yearning in our souls for connection, for belonging, for shared experiences. This is why isolation can feel so cold and empty, why the laughter shared with loved ones resonates so deeply within us, and why moments of genuine connection can feel like a warm embrace to the spirit. We are wired for community, designed to reflect God's own perfect communion within the Trinity. Our ability to love, to empathize, to forgive, and to serve are all echoes of this divine blueprint, allowing us to experience the world through the lens of connection, mirroring the very heart of our relational Creator. This isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a fundamental aspect of how we experience joy, sorrow, and meaning in life. Furthermore, our gift of rationality and moral consciousness sets us apart. We don't merely react to stimuli. We contemplate, we analyze, we ponder the great mysteries. This allows us to savor the sweet taste of understanding when a complex idea finally clicks, or feel the sharp sting of regret when we know we've chosen wrongly. We can design intricate systems, compose symphonies that stir the soul, or devise solutions to global challenges, all because our minds bear the imprint of the divine intellect. This consciousness also carries the weight of moral choice. We feel the gnawing unease of guilt when we violate our conscience, and the quiet satisfaction of doing what is right, even when it's difficult. This moral compass, though often distorted, points back to God's own perfect righteousness and justice, urging us towards goodness. No matter where we look in creation, we see the intricate design that God entrusted to our care. Our dominion and stewardship aren't about exploitation, but about cultivating, protecting, and enhancing the world around us. Consider the delicate fragrance of a blooming flower nurtured by human hands, the bountiful harvest from a well-tended field, or the majestic silence of a pristine forest preserved for future generations. These aren't just natural occurrences. They are testaments to our role as God's representatives on earth. We are called to be caretakers, reflecting His own loving concern for His handiwork. This responsibility brings with it a profound sense of purpose, knowing that our actions, big or small, contribute to God's ongoing work in the world, bringing forth beauty and order from potential chaos. However, this beautiful tapestry of the Imago Dei was disfigured. The story in Genesis 3 shows us the entry of sin into the world, an act of disobedience that broke the perfect communion with God, hence nas consequences immediatas, a vergana that led Adam and Eve to hide in the garden, feeling the sun's heat on exposed skin in a new, uncomfortable way. The fear of the divine presence, which was once sweet companionship, now carrying a heavy, ominous air, and the guilt that made them blame each other, creating a palpable tension in paradise. These profound sensations and the expulsion from Eden, with the final sound of the garden gates closing, were the result of a corrupted image of God. But here lies a crucial truth. Despite the fall, the image of God in humanity was not destroyed. It was damaged, obscured, but not annihilated. That's why, even after the flood, God reaffirms in Genesis 9-6 the sanctity of human life, justifying the prohibition of murder because man was made in the image of God. And in James 3-9, we read that with the same tongue we can praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. This persistence of the Imago Dei means that every human being, regardless of race, gender, social status, disability, or choices, retains intrinsic worth and unquestionable dignity by bearing this divine image. This truth is the foundation for our ethics, our pursuit of social justice, and the essence of our love for our neighbor. The great news is that this disfigured image is not condemned forever. In Jesus Christ, we find perfect restoration. Colossians 1:15 reveals to us that He is the image of the invisible God, the exact reflection of the Father. Jesus came into the world as the perfect model of what the Imago Dei should be, and through His plan of redemption, He makes the restoration of this image in us possible. We don't return exactly to the state of Adam before the fall, but we are transformed and conformed to the image of Christ. This restoration happens primarily through salvation, when we accept Christ and are justified, beginning a continuous process of sanctification. Imagine the feeling of a heavy burden being lifted from your shoulders, the soft light of truth flooding a heart that once lived in darkness. This involves the renewal of the mind, as we read in Ephesians 4:23-24, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness, and in Colossians 3:10, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its Creator. It's a process of thinking as God thinks, loving what He loves, and developing the fruit of the Spirit, Galatians 5:22-23, which is the character of Christ being formed in us. Think of the sweetness of patience, the warmth of kindness, the gentleness of peace that begin to grow within you. The ultimate purpose of this restoration is for us to fulfill the original purpose of glorifying God and representing Him in the world more fully and authentically. This journey of restoration, however, is not always a smooth path. It involves actively choosing to shed old habits and embrace new ways of thinking and behaving. It's like a sculptor carefully chiseling away excess stone to reveal the masterpiece hidden within. We may feel the grinding friction of change as old patterns of anger, pride, or fear are challenged, or experience the burning sensation of conviction as God reveals areas where we need to grow. Yet, with each step of obedience, we begin to feel a deeper sense of alignment, a quiet strength building within us, and the increasing clarity of purpose that comes from reflecting more of Christ's character. This daily transformation isn't just for our own benefit. It's a living testimony to the restoring power of God's love, a beacon for others to see the work He can do in a willing heart. Understanding the Imago Dei has profound practical implications for our lives today. First, it impacts our self-esteem and personal worth. Your true worth is not based on what you do, what you have, or what others think of you, but on who you are, a precious image of God. This truth combats the insecurity that tightens your chest, the inferiority complex that whispers lies in your mind, and the relentless search for external validation that never truly satisfies. Second, it defines human dignity. If everyone, without exception, bears God's image, then everyone has unquestionable dignity and deserves to be treated with respect and love. This should drive us to combat injustice, whose bitter taste can be felt in society, prejudice that blinds our eyes, and discrimination in all its forms. It should move us to care for the most vulnerable, the elderly, who long for a gentle touch, children who seek a welcoming gaze, people with disabilities who face daily barriers, the sick who feel physical and emotional pain, the marginalized who feel the chill of exclusion, and to promote life from conception to natural death. Even when seeing an enemy, we are called to recognize the potential and worth of God's image in them. Finally, the Imago Dei reminds us of our purpose and responsibility to be stewards of creation and to use our capacity to create and innovate for God's glory, transforming the world around us. Think of the satisfaction of watching something beautiful grow from your hands, or the impact of an idea that ignites hope in others. It also strengthens our relationships, for if every person is a bearer of the divine image, we are called to treat them with honor, compassion, and forgiveness, even those with whom we struggle, feeling the softness of empathy and the warmth of forgiveness flowing in our hearts. Consider also the ripple effect of living out the Imago Dei. When we embrace our true value, we stop striving for external validation and begin radiating an inner peace that can be almost palpable to those around us. When we treat others with the dignity they deserve as image bearers, we create an atmosphere of respect where true connection can flourish, replacing the sharp edges of conflict with the smooth flow of understanding. Our creativity, when aligned with God's purposes, can bring fresh air to stagnant situations, crafting solutions that genuinely serve humanity and honor the Creator. This isn't just about individual transformation. It's about being agents of change, allowing the divine reflection within us to illuminate the world, bringing a taste of heaven to earth in tangible ways. The truth of the image and likeness of God is not meant to scare us or overwhelm us, but to set us free. It frees us from the endless search for validation, destructive comparison, and a limited view of who we are. It's an invitation to embrace this truth, to seek restoration in Christ, and to live in a way that honors God's image in ourselves and in every person we encounter. Live your divine reflection. If this video brought peace and clarity to your heart, I encourage you to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this liberating truth, and of course, subscribe to Heaven's Echoes for more soul-nourishing messages that strengthen your faith. May God's sovereignty be your greatest certainty and your deepest source of peace. Your faith journey continues here with us.